Your service return should feel like you're serving yourself. Once you've mastered that, you can receive with a hook serve motion to get a wide angle. First, let's cover the short forehand push, then we'll discuss the flick and push flick. Our main focus today is receiving short serves to the forehand. From my match experience, the first option for a short forehand receive is to chop down the line. The second is to go cross-court. The first principle is that when you chop the ball, you must impart heavy spin. Because if your chop isn't spinny, they can attack your backhand, and you'll be on the defensive. So let me explain my down-the-line chop. The first step is to open your racket face. Second, since a simple push goes high, you must rotate the head of your racket. Like this, open the racket face, and rotate the racket head. A key reason amateur players struggle with their down-the-line push is that they fail to open their racket face. They use this angle, so the trajectory of their push won't be very wide. The second problem is they don't use the racket head. Instead, they are just pushing with their arm. If you use too much force like that, the ball will easily go out. So for this shot, you must use the tip of the racket to make contact. When you chop using the racket head, the ball will have a lot of spin. Now, let's talk about the cross-court strategy. My approach is to always go for a wide angle. See, if the angle is too narrow, your opponent is already in position and can easily loop it if they have decent touch. But with a wide angle, if the ball goes off the side of the table, they'll just be watching it go by. Their feet can't get there in time. Then, after two such balls, you've pulled their attention and center of gravity, allowing you to go back to their backhand effectively. So, amateur players should adopt a different mindset. If you chop too hard, it goes out. If you chop too soft, it pops up for them to smash. It's better to find an angle that sends the ball off the sideline of the table. Any ball returned at this angle is easy to attack. But at this wider angle, they can barely return it. Your service return should feel like you're serving yourself. When receiving a short forehand serve, don't just chop straight down. Though that is the basic technique. Once you've mastered that, you can receive with a hook serve motion to get a wide angle. Or, use a left side spin motion. This will open up your options. Therefore, you must add lateral force to your receive. Essentially, I'm just making a hook serve motion. The concept of sideways force is abstract, but if you think of it as a hook serve, you'll understand immediately. Okay, I'll demonstrate a couple more for you. Watch closely. Look at this angle, everyone. You must have this side chop mindset. The backhand receive must be spinny, and the forehand must have a wide angle. In table on the forehand, I can use a hook motion, and I can also use a left side spin motion. Watch. Shakehand players can do it too. Like Sunningshaw's common left side spin push, which makes the ball float. It's actually simple. Open your racket face to push with left side spin. It's the same motion as serving left side spin, just with a different stance and brushing to the side. See, you brush sideways. You should feel like you're serving a side underspin. Third, don't get this wrong, your racket head and face should not be facing sideways, as that leads to errors. The racket head should point down and the handle up. The finish position is like this. Not like this, which is a common mistake. If both are pointing sideways, you're very likely to make an error. A right side spin receive isn't just for the forehand, you can also use it to slice to their backhand. This shot is very deceptive. They expect a forehand push, but you send it to their backhand instead. Against a player with a strong forehand, whether you push to the middle or their backhand, you must make the ball curve into their body. Just as they are about to generate power, the ball jams them. Look, if their rally is backhand dominant from the middle, you have to chop this way to force their balance to the right. Pushing this way also makes them uncomfortable because it's difficult to time the ball on their backhand. I sense the ball arriving here, but then I have to readjust my timing. So generally, against players with a strong forehand, I like to use a left side spin push to their backhand or middle. Against players with a strong backhand, I like to use the right side spin hook receive. This is because you can jam them as they're preparing to attack. As they ready their backhand, the ball hits their forearm, making it very awkward. However, if you do a standard push, you're setting them up for an easy attack. Now let's cover the return for a short forehand topspin. When the serve is a heavy side underspin, pushing is the optimal solution. The techniques we just discussed, the short push, chop, sideswipe, and slice, are all your best options here. But for a half-long, half-spin serve, it's a different story. For a ball like this, you can either flick or chop. A half-long, low-spin serve like this can be flicked. That's a good option. Or you can chop it. This is because the spin is neutral. For a pure side topspin serve, like this one, you must flick it. If you try to push it, it will either pop up high or, even if you keep the trajectory low, it will have no spin, allowing your opponent to attack it easily. That's why they can smash your return. The correct response is to flick. For half-long, low-spin serves, I don't recommend a single fixed response, because table tennis is dynamic. If the opponent has a strong backspin game, I will primarily use the flick. If their topspin game is strong, I will primarily chop. I previously talked about 3 types of trajectory, which I'm sure you remember: the lifting arc, the flat arc, and the pressing arc. These also apply to the flick. A lifting arc, a flat arc, and a pressing arc. When flicking a half-long serve, it has both underspin and topspin components. The spin isn't pure. For these impure spin balls, you should use a lifting arc motion. If I try a straight flick, it will go into the net. Therefore, you must use your fingers to initiate the wrist, and your wrist to initiate the forearm, creating an upward and forward lifting arc. When flicking this ball, your shoulder and elbow must drop down. Start from just above the table and finish the stroke at chest height. This applies to penhold as well. Use a lifting arc. The flick is the ultimate test of your ability to isolate the movements of your wrist, forearm, and upper arm. Many players can't flick well because their forearm and upper arm move together. As a result, their flick gets smashed by the opponent. If you can't separate these movements, you won't generate speed, and a slow flick is easy to attack. So when you flick, really focus on what I said. Fingers drive the wrist, and the wrist drives the forearm, not the other way around. This will naturally increase your range of motion. The second type of flick is for covering the ball's arc, used against topspin serves that would pop up or go long if you simply pushed them. For this type of ball, you have to press downwards. I don't recommend using your fingers to press down because it makes your racket unstable. My current flicking method is to use my wrist to press down on the ball. See? I'm using my wrist, that middle joint. You must use your wrist to snap down and cover the ball. Your initial racket angle can't be too low. Let me see you serve one. Even with the ball kicking up, if your starting angle is too low, you might still hit the net because there's no contact surface for a solid hit. You're just touching it. You must open the racket face first, then press down. Plus, you might not be able to read the spin perfectly. As you move to the ball, you can start with an open face and adjust. If it's spinny, lift more. If it's a no spin or side topspin, press down more. You can make that adjustment right at the point of contact. Open, then press. Open first, then press. Use your wrist to press and cap the ball. This is different from blocking a loop, where you use your forearm to absorb and press. For this short in-table ball, you must use your wrist to press it. You can't control it otherwise. Many of these serves are also half-long. If you use your fingers, the racket face will flip, the contact is too light, and the ball will fly out. It's a very common error. This wrist action isn't loose or rotational. It needs to be a firm, deliberate motion downwards or forwards. It's not a relaxed movement. A loose wrist will send the ball flying. The force is solid, whether you're going up, forward, or down. The flick must be a solid, not a flimsy, motion. For example, on a topspin serve, your motion shouldn't be shaky. Any shakiness and the ball will fly off the table. You don't need to accelerate wildly, you just need to make the motion solid and compact. So, for your racket face control, you must utilize your wrist to press the ball. I can demonstrate with a penhold grip as well. Use the wrist to press it down. The same applies for a down-the-line shot. Now let me ask you a question. For a short ball to the forehand, what is the ideal contact point for a push or a flick? Is it on the rise, at the peak of the bounce, or just as it starts to fall? When you are flicking or chopping a short ball, you must contact it at the peak of the bounce. Never try to hit it on the rise, that's unrealistic in a match. Once they mix in a long serve, that rising ball opportunity is long gone. All my shots here are at the peak. So how am I able to control the flick? It's just as I said before, my wrist is firm, not shaky. A quick downward press and the ball is over, killing the spin. A long push should also be executed at this contact point. So, why do my receives look relatively easy? You must position your body in the center, but keep your racket ready on the forehand side. Look. If my body is at the center line, serve to my wide forehand, I can flick it. Serve to my middle, I can flick it. Serve here, I can still flick it. But if you're standing on your backhand side, with your right foot over here instead of here, a slightly wider serve and you won't reach it at all. You'll just be watching. At minimum, your body should be here, with your foot here. This allows you to cover the entire forehand half of the table. I can cover here, here, and here, adjusting with my body's center of gravity. But if your feet are on the backhand side while your hand is on the forehand side, you will never be able to reach that ball properly.